Hey guys, Starcraft and Ingrid here, and boy, she's here with another rant she wants to go over. You want to tell me what it is?
Yeah, it's just that I suppose it's kind of been in line with some of the other rants that Robert has done semi-recently, just talking about how everyone seems to be having this knee-jerk reaction to stuff lately.
Yeah.
It's sort of like getting burned too many times, except specifically with stuff relating to with a significant female lead or whatnot, or like a group of female leads or whatnot.
Like what happened with Mandalorian a couple episodes ago. They introduced this badass woman, and what do we get? Oh, she's an SJW. No, she was badass. You actually look at it, you find out, she's actually, she gets some hits, thrown at her, and all that. She's not perfect. She's not Rey Rey from, Star Wars. She's none of that. She's just a normal, tough woman. They set up how tough she is, and a good acting to boot. But no, you have some people who are like, yeah, get that woman out of here. It's like, what's happened to us? Oh, ignore that. What's happened to us, right? It's like, we've gotten to this point where anytime you have a strong, even a good, decently strong woman, they might be written well, get out. Get out of here.
It's like we're becoming exactly the kind of stereotype that sort of they get ridiculed for all of the time.
Exactly. The people that are forcing it on us, we're starting to prove them right because we're getting so fed up that we're just, again, knee-jerk reacting to everything. I just realized I'm looking more like a talking head right now, don't I? That'll go short, like, whoo. But yeah, this is, I've said this before, this whole knee-jerk reaction culture we've gotten is just really going so far overboard. But you as a woman, of course, and your thoughts on it still, you're obviously getting fed up with it, right?
Yeah, it's just I like gals. I like writing about gals. I like drawing and making badass gals just because, hey, girls are neat. And yet it's pretty easy, even if you do see a really girl-centric work or whatever that's just hey, I just think these characters are cool, can easily get labeled. And it's just no, I'm just having a bit of creative fun, and it's much more easy for me to create gals than guys because I am a gal.
Okay, here's a big thing. I'm the same way. So many times I've come up with my own fictional characters, I always make them women. Not because I'm a perp or anything like that, or I want them to be skimpy. But most of the time I don't even have them be skimpy. They're usually wearing pretty conservative clothing. It's because it just comes to me easier. Also, so many times the characters I come up with, we've seen plenty of dudes doing it. So I'm like, why not put it in a woman role?
Yeah, and it's just it's not just to make a statement or anything. It's just wouldn't it be neat if we did this? Which is a very different creative impulse.
Exactly. I mean, so many of my characters, I'm just it's always this. But I know that might be the starting point for some of these SJWs who are it's always the man doing it, give it to a woman. That's where you can agree with them to that point, but then how far they take it then, where they make it, not only do we have to have it be a woman, we have to have the men be incompetent, we need to have them be wusses, we need to have the woman be the smartest and do no wrong and be complete Sues. That's where you get the problem. Yeah,
at that point it's just bad writing, regardless of what the gender of the character happens to be.
Now, it doesn't help that so many of these people, once they create the character, they are starting to say how dare you insult it. That does not help at all. That never helps. So again, how we got to this point, I can understand. The fact that we're at this point is what's sad and bothers me and you and Squiddy. That's the person who did the tweet that got us talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, because just we've gotten so far. Now, some people are saying it's permanently damaged. I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, that's almost a little bit too cynical.
It took a while. It took us how long? How many years to get to this point where it's this knee-jerk reactionary every time? It took a while. There were still people who were like, "Oh, give it." So just give it some time to calm down. It's gonna probably take a couple years, but it'll happen. But the only downside is, then that's going to run the risk of it's going to encourage these progressives to double down harder and start doing more of it, just because now they feel emboldened and justified. That's the one downside with all this. But the fact of the matter is, this stuff's not selling. The fact is, you have, I'll say this, Rey could have been a good character. I was able to accept all of her Mary Sue-isms in Force Awakens initially. But then we're on to Yeah, it's gonna, and no one's gonna see it.
Oh.
Yeah, but one, you're doing it because the pop-up comes on your face, isn't it? Yeah, but yeah, one, hold on. Oh yeah, but once you got the Last Jedi though, because I was able to be like, okay, let's see where it goes. Last Jedi made it worse. You know what I mean? It really played up our Mary Sueism. Now, I am not going to say how. Those of you out there know this because you haven't seen it yet. Neither have I. But I've spoiled, you have not. But I'll just say this. They do explain it from what I hear. They actually give an explanation. It's stupid, but it's an acceptable one.
Okay.
That's all I'll say. They do explain her Mary Sueism, which actually says something that they actually took time to do that.
I guess so.
Have you ever heard anyone try to explain away a Mary Sueism? Have you? Because I haven't. They usually double down and make them even more perfect. From what I hear, they humanize her in this. Which I say, good, about time. Too little, too late. But yeah, this whole knee jerks. I mean, what are you afraid of most? That you're going to come up with your own strong character, try to make something out of it, and then everyone's just going to jump saying, why are you putting a woman in the lead, right? Is that what you're afraid of happening?
I mean, sometimes I sort of get this kind of paranoia of what if this particular character of mine would be seen as a Mary Sue for X, X, and X reasons. Like, oh, this particular character of mine happens to be in the lead when she's the only female in the team, even though it's pretty much demonstrated that, yeah, she's actually the most competent leader in the group, and without her, we'd have a bunch of people going off the rails doing stupid stuff, as proven by actual stuff that's been done in the story.
Exactly, and I can see why you'd be afraid of it, because, yeah, I can see some people jumping into that, but it depends on how you handle the guys. If they're just guys being guys, I think that, you know, people can more understand it. There's going to be the idiots who are going to just jump on it, but I'm pretty sure if you handle it well, people will believe it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so long as you don't have to be that they're being dumb, they're being beyond stupid, like, you know what I'm saying? So long as you're not doing that, which I know you wouldn't, but that's always the problem. When you look at those examples of, again, not only do you have to have the woman be competent, you have the men be rock stupid, like, point their finger into an electric socket level stupid. The ones who are like, me man, me go attacking, despite the fact that we're trying to bring peace. Nope, violent only answer. No. You'd have to come up with an explanation how they got to that mindset, yes, and explain it. But if you do it with no explanation, people are going to be pissed. I mean, but that's the thing, guys. When you see something, unless the writer is being so blatantly, obviously, you know, like shoving it down your throat, and I mean the actual writer, all right, don't assume. You'd have to actually go in and check it out for yourself, then judge it. Because that's the other thing I'm so fed up with. People are judging things before they're even out. And they're just presuming, oh, it's going to be this bad. Like the Watchmen stuff. Everyone is still complaining about Dr. Manhattan being made black. But it's like, wait. But they actually show an explanation of it in the story that's still respectful. Nope, he's black. And rage, read. People are getting just as bad. I'm sorry, I'm ranting. I'm the one doing the ranting here. But I mean, go on, say a bit more if you have any more thing else to say. Do you?
I guess it's just sort of one of those places where it's just like, okay, yes, sometimes I see the points and sometimes they are legitimate points, but then the actual solution or what they think the root of the problem is a little bit off the rails, where it's just like, okay, there are some points of agreement, but there's a point where it's just like, I don't agree with everything else.
You're talking about, like I was saying, how, yes, there might be a case where they have men in the leader role. Maybe we should put a woman in there. That on its own value is fine.
Yes, or let's try doing this thing from somebody who's a woman, and maybe that could bring a new interesting twist into the story. That's perfectly fine. And I can understand wanting to do that stuff creatively, because I'll be damned if I don't do that all the time for my own characters, so I'd be a hypocrite. But the reason behind it, that's where I often disagree and where this stuff often goes wrong.
Especially when you also have to emphasize, I'm this way because my vagina or whatever, when it's like, no, it's because you are strong in your own way as a person, not as just because you're a woman, right? It's like their gender is inconsequential. Well, to a degree, obviously. Like, you could still have a woman be more motherly, for example, maternal, or more emotional. You could always have that, but beyond that.
Or you could have stuff where it is sort of relevant, definitely relevant to the plot, like, say, like, okay, we have a situation where only the guy can be an heir here, but, like, the only person who is actually, like, reasonably competent to fill that role is a woman, and how are we going to get around this to make this happen?
Exactly. Or heck, say they go into a town that is a misogynistic town, there could be something like that, and they have to play it up, or like, okay, I'll play the airhead, but you guys are going to have to step up. I mean, if she's a good leader, she can convince them how to step up. You know what I mean? Like, and if she's a bad leader, she's going to be the one who's going to just waltz in.
Yes.
Like, a bad leader would waltz in and try and change the system on her own, and then the world just collapses around her to do it. That is bad writing, wouldn't you say? I mean, I'm not saying that's a good town to have. Obviously not. That's the whole point. You'd be playing up on it. Maybe she can prove it, but you can't force the town to do it. And again, a horrible writer, which that would be, she just waltzes in and changes everything. No. She tried to get into a position where she could change it by proving it, but not by force, right?
Yeah, a sweet Polly Oliver kind of situation where
I don't know what that is.
That's basically a trope where a woman disguises herself as a man.
Oh, Mulan, in other words.
Yeah, basically a Mulan kind of situation.
Well, that, or like I said, she goes in as what they think is the tradition of a woman, but then she proves them wrong subtly, not, I am woman, hear me roar. Which again, sometimes could work, but not. I'm just trying to throw it out as an example of her team having to work around it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, you can include stuff like that in the story without shoving something down the throat. You can explore that stuff without it getting preachy.
Because you also know in other cases they would have it be her teammate become worse. They end up becoming just as misogynistic as the rest of the town, or they go so far the other way where they are like chewing. They become cucked and basically chew out the town and not even agree with any of their points either. You got to find that middle ground, not one extreme or the other. You know what I mean? Like, you get what I'm saying with my example.
Yeah.
They would be in there, they'd be like, well, they're making some good points. I'm not saying I agree with all of their actions, but they make some good points of why they're doing this way. And maybe there could be an explanation, like their former ruler was a queen who was a tyrant, and now they all feel bad about women. Something like that. That's acceptable. Because such things exist in a fantasy world, for example, right? Tyrant queen just makes a bad taste in her mouth. If there could be a tyrant king that make women hate men, why not? You get my example, right? Is that a good one, or am I going way too misogynistic my own way? Be honest.
I don't know. I think it largely depends on context.
Obviously. I think that's the other thing people forget is there's no context in these things ever. When they're written poorly, there is no context. There's only shoehorning. I think people are forgetting the concept of context.
Yes, and similarly, it's just like you can sort of look on something at the surface without context. It's like, oh, I don't like that, but there's actually, you dig down and it's just like, hey.
Exactly. Like I said, I can come up with all these female characters, and I might get called like, hey, why are you making all these women, huh? It's like, because that's what came to my mind when I came up with these characters. No other reason. Geez, sorry, the sun. But you know what I'm saying? But it's like, that's the only reason why. It's because that's how I came up with the characters. Nothing else. I never go in expecting to be like, okay, this one's gonna be a woman, and then that's all I work on. It's like, no, I come up with a character, I'm like, you know what, this fits best if they're a woman. I'm sure you do the same way, right?
Or wouldn't it be interesting if this character were a woman?
Exactly. That's a different context, different mindset. And again, guys, that's what we need to deal with. Oh, I'm running out of things to say. I think we're going in circles now.
Yeah, I think we've basically kind of run out of steam at this point, so.
Yep, but yeah, that's all I really wanted to say, and what she wanted to say. No, she will not be joining me for my Star Wars Rise of Skywalker review.
Yeah, I'm going to be ending up seeing with my family due to tradition.
But I will be seeing it probably on Sunday, maybe Saturday, I don't know. I'm just doing it just to get it over and done with. Like I said, I've been spoiled, but I'm still going to see it. I've seen the other 8. I can't do it. I cannot just ignore the last one. So I'll be seeing you guys then. Ingrid, you want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas ahead of time?
Yep, Merry Christmas!
And we'll catch you all later. See ya.